Well, goddamn, what's going on, fellas? Welcome back to the channel, man. It's your boy, and we're back playing some more of Marvel Future Fight. And for this one, in light of the recent announcement by Netmarble in regards to Luna Snow getting a new single and potentially her tier 3 in the next update, I wanted to take a moment to speak to you guys about the new Andromeda uniform, because I know a lot of you guys have mixed feelings about it. If you haven't been paying attention and for some reason you didn't know, Luna Snow got a new uniform, something that we were very excited for, and the impact that this uniform made is not the one we all was expecting. Luna Snow in this game is a very powerful character in terms of her DPS and her Entice, which is an absolutely fantastic ability. So everyone, myself included, when we saw that she was getting a new uniform, we were super excited, because we only saw one way for her to go in this game, and that was all the way up, baby. Straight to the top, because she's already one of the best speed characters in the game. However, it's not as clear cut as we all had hoped, okay? The uniform is not a banger, so you may be seeing some people say, hey, this uniform is a waste of crystals, it's pure garbage, I'm able to do more damage with the base kit compared to the uniform. And some people might just straight up tell you this uniform is a downgrade. Now, that's something that I very rarely hear about premium uniforms in this game. And considering that Luna Snow is an original character, that is something that I never expected anyone to say. And I can definitely see where a lot of you guys are coming from. I've been playing with this uniform for 2 weeks, and if there's one thing I can say about this uniform, one thing that I can say about it, it's that it's inconsistent. It's inconsistent. Oftentimes, I'm able to do way more damage with the uniform than the base kit. And then other times, I'm able to do more damage with the base kit compared to the uniform. And that should never happen. This is a premium uniform, 1000 crystal. It's giving you 15% base all attack, and on top of that, an additional 10% cold damage. There's no way that the base kit should ever be dealing more damage than the uniform. That makes absolutely no sense, and that is why I can definitely agree to an extent with you guys who are feeling hella salty and feeling like you got ripped. Because oftentimes when we buy uniforms in this game, there's 4 things that we look at, or at the very least, there's 4 things that I look at. The first thing is aesthetics. Is the uniform aesthetically pleasing? Right? Is it good to look at? Because when I buy these uniforms, I'm going to be playing with them extensively for hours, days, weeks on end. Am I going to be able to stand looking at the uniform for that long? Right? And honestly, I can say that Netmarble almost never misses when it comes to aesthetics. And I'm not just talking about female characters, I'm talking about all the characters in the game. I can't think of an ugly uniform to me in this game off the top of my head. I think probably the ugliest uniform in this game is probably the Secret War uniform for Venom. But it's ugly because it's supposed to be ugly, and it's ugly which makes it cool. I don't know. Anyways, that's probably the ugliest uniform that I can think of. And I love the uniform because I think it looks really cool, and I wish Venom was playable in that uniform. Otherwise, I would never take it off him because it looks really cool, but it's ugly. Anyways, the second thing that I often look at is how much more damage the character is getting from the uniform. How much more damage am I going to be able to do in World Boss Ultimate and in Alliance Battle? Those are the 2 game modes that I often use to check my damage. Okay, Shadowland, not so much anymore because it's gotten really easy. Hope we get new floors very soon. The third thing is how much more survivability the uniform is offering to the character. Are they getting new heals? Are they getting invincibility, damage, immunity, iframes, a guard? What are they getting that's gonna help them stay alive longer? The fourth and final thing that I often look at is ease of use. how much easier is it going to be to use the character in this uniform? How much easier is it going to be to get them out of tight spots in World Boss Ultimate, Alliance Battle, that kind of deal? How much easier is it going to be for me to land the damage proc on the highest damaging skill in the character's kit? Those are the 4 things that I often look at for my characters. I don't know about you guys. And honestly, with this uniform, I can definitely say that Netmarble didn't miss the mark. The uniform looks good, it's offering the character more damage, and she has more survivability because they moved around the heal that was on the 5th skill at the end to the beginning of the 5th skill in this new uniform. So they got 3 out of 4 things right. The character still hard to use, hard to time the proc properly, and arguably in this uniform, she's harder to use than she's ever been. And I feel like that is the reason why you guys are seeing different numbers with her, and that is the reason why she's become so inconsistent. That is the reason why most of you guys are regretting your purchase, and it all has to do with this 4 skill, because it gives her 5 seconds of entice. 5 seconds of entice. This is basically what makes Luna Snow Luna Snow. If Luna Snow didn't have the entice, she would just be another speed character that's really good. Oftentimes we don't have speed characters that are really good, so she would still stand out, right? But if you take away the entice from Luna Snow, she becomes just another really good character in the game, right? Because think about it logically. The ability to stop the enemy from attacking you, right? And then allow yourself 5 seconds where you can rain down all hell on that character is amazing. It's like having Wanda's mind control. Whenever that happens in a fight, the fight becomes significantly easier and you see a massive spike in your damage output, right? And in this uniform, they made one terrible mistake. One mistake. They got 1 out of 4 wrong, right? And that is why so many of us are very, very upset. There's a couple ways that they could fix this, and I'll talk about this later in the video, but this is the reason. This 4 skill is the reason why you see so many people saying Luna Snow's uniform sucks. And I'll talk about it right now. So this skill, before, we'll jump into the skill preview, and I'll show you guys exactly what I'm talking about. It's easier to show you guys visual than to explain it to you. So before, in this uniform, all you had to do was this. Hit the 4 skill, you immediately get the entice followed by the heal, right? Super easy. Basically no way to miss unless the enemy has some kind of guaranteed dodge or purifying wind effect ability applied to themselves. You always get it, right? Always get it. In this uniform for her, it's sad because I was really looking forward to this uniform. There is now a wind-up time on the entice. The entice is at the end of the skill, right? So while you're moving around the enemy, which I think it looks really cool. However, what I need is not cool. What I need is practical. What I need is practical, not cool, okay? So even though I think the skill looks awesome, right? I don't like the fact that the entice is at the very end of the skill. And this is not an iframe. If it was an iframe, that is one thing, but because it's not an iframe, no, it's a no from me. Because while you're doing this little dance around the enemy, you can and will be very, very often, mind you, guard broken by enemies. And when you get guard broken, not only do you lose the damage, which the damage in this uniform on the 4 skill definitely seems significantly lower. Not only do you lose the damage from the skill, you also lose the 5 seconds of entice. You lose the 5 seconds of entice, and on top of that, if you get guard broken, you lose the heal as well. So your survivability goes down, your damage goes down, and your entice, which will allow you to deal even more damage to the boss while you're safe because the boss can attack you while your entice is gone. So because of that, Luna Snow's value in this uniform drops drastically. It's really, really sad because if you take a look at this, I'll go again. There's also another thing that can happen besides being guard broken. Besides being guard broken, there's an easy fix for that. You can get immunity to guard break, right? A lot of people are going to say, just get immunity to guard break, you're good. Granted, the world bosses, they will penetrate you. Even if you have immunity to guard break, they can still guard break you. Those purple attacks that you see from the world boss ultimate stages, they will penetrate immunity to guard break. So you will still get guard broken. You will still lose the heal, lose the damage, lose the entice. And being guard broken aside, there's actually 2 more things that I've found after playing with this uniform extensively that makes the fourth skill worse than it was before. The first, you guys have already seen. Most of you guys might notice it already, but I'm gonna do it one more time just to see if you guys notice it. You notice that? I used the fourth skill, which when I use the entice, it's supposed to have the enemies run to me, like this. You notice down here, when I was attacking these enemies, they didn't come to me. You know why? Because Luna Snow moved out of the radius of the enemy, and because the radius on this fourth skill right here is so small now, oftentimes if you're too far away when you trigger the skill, you don't get the entice. This could never happen before with the default look, because you absolutely always had to be in range to use the attack. So because of that wasted movement that was added to this uniform, now you have to be very careful where you trigger the fourth skill, because sometimes, look at that, these enemies right over here are out of the radius of the skill. They didn't even move. Speaking of movement, when you go up against bosses or the Frost Beast in ABX, they're not dummies. They're not gonna stand still and wait for you to dance around them like a ballerina. They're not gonna do that. They're gonna chase after you. They're gonna use their other skills. And what will happen most of the time is they will actually move out of the radius of this skill. And there you go. Another way that you can easily counter this new fourth skill. And every time you lose that 5 seconds of entice, your fight becomes longer and your DPS goes down, right? So that is why some of you guys are noticing that with this uniform, you're actually doing less damage than with the base kit, because every time you trigger this, you get 5 seconds where you can just unleash all hell. That's basically 1 rotation of all her skills that you're losing every single time that you don't catch the enemy in the entice. So it's not that her damage got lower. Granted, I think her damage on the fourth and on her second got a little bit lower, but overall, I don't think it's because her damage got lower in the uniform. I think it's just because it's much harder to catch the enemy in the entice. So because of that, your fights are taking longer, and by proxy, you're doing less damage, right? There's a couple ways they can go about fixing this. First and foremost, make this thing a full iframe. But even if it was a full iframe, we still have to worry about where you trigger the skill. So I think probably what they're gonna need to do, and they should definitely do this since this is their original character and they want to push her, right, as much as possible, they should definitely make this a full iframe. The skill doesn't do that much damage anyways. And on top of that, they should either allow you to control the skill with the D-pad, which we know is possible already. Iron Man has a skill like that where he's dancing around and you get to control where you end up. So they could do that, and it would then be in the hands of the player, and you would require a little bit of skill to land the skill effectively, right? Or they could just give her a much bigger radius on this skill. Much bigger radius, that fixes everything. If it has a much bigger radius and it's a full iframe, boom, everything fixed, right? That's just my 2 cents though. Anyways, let's get out of here. We're gonna jump into a little bit of World Boss Ultimate gameplay. We're gonna go do a couple 2-minute tests against, I think we're gonna go up against Ebony Maw, Cull Obsidian, and we'll try her out against Corvus Glaive as well, just so you guys see what I'm talking about, where in some cases the uniform might lose to the base kit. It just really comes down to whether or not the boss moves around a lot during the fight. I'm not even gonna bother showing you guys the build or anything like that, because it doesn't even matter. The build doesn't matter. It's just how inconsistently you land the fourth skill that determines whether or not you do more damage with the base or with the uniform. I know this is kind of a long, lengthy explanation, but I hope this is a little bit better and this puts things in perspective for those of you guys who are thinking, man, this is just a waste of money. It's not so much that it's a waste of money, it's just one small change. That's just how crazy it is. Really, sometimes all it takes to mess up a character is just changing one simple thing. Anyways, let's jump in and test her out a little bit. Alright, so we're going to start off on stage 35 against Ebony Maw, who is the easiest boss for her to go up against. We're going to use Misty Knight and Phil Coulson. And we're just going to do a 2-minute DPS comparison between the base kit and the uniform. Now, Ebony Maw is probably both the easiest and the hardest boss for her to go up against at the exact same time. He's the easiest if you're using the base kit. For me, at the very least. Why? Because Ebony Maw moves around quite a lot. He's always iframing and jumping around, and because of that, I find it much harder to actually hit him with the entice when I'm in the uniform as opposed to when I'm playing her without it. And because of that, sometimes I'm actually able to clear this stage much faster without the uniform as opposed to when I have it on. And that's not because of the DPS being lower in the uniform, it's just because it's much harder to keep this guy in check, to slow him down, stop him from moving around, and beat up on him because I'm not hitting the entice as often as I would be able to without the uniform. I have to be a little bit careful here because I have to let the skills play out in its entirety just to get the heal. Also, if they put the heal on the beginning of the fourth skill as opposed to at the end, that would also be really good to push the value of that uniform. Alright, so you gotta be careful here. Chill. I think we can get off another maybe 2 bars or so off this guy in 20 seconds. Oh, got guard broken there. That sucks. It's fine. Alright boys, so we're gonna stop it here. Exactly 2 minutes. We got this guy down to 6 bars. We're gonna get out of here and put the uniform on and jump right back in to see how she does. Alright, so we're rocking with the exact same team, and logically we should be able to clear this much faster in the uniform as opposed to without the uniform. But you guys already saw I missed the entice once already, and that's with the boss not even moving. Boss didn't move, we still didn't get the entice there. So that's 2 times we've missed it already. Missed it there again. That's 3 times. Oh, okay. That doesn't count because he already went in this thing, so that's fine. So we're already behind, okay? We're already behind the base by like maybe 20 or 30 seconds at this point. And the crazy thing is, I feel like her 4th skill, no uniform, does more damage than her 5th skill with the uniform, which is crazy. Look at that, she ran out of the radius of the freaking boss and almost got herself killed. I'm just getting so upset, bro. Like, this is what I'm telling you guys. She becomes so, look at that. She becomes so inconsistent. Like, sometimes everything lines up, Ebony doesn't move around a lot, we get him dead, quick time. But other times, because of how annoying this boss is, nah, bro, we can't be dancing around and acting a fool. Yeah, so it looks like we might actually lose to the base kit here, which, like I said, that should never happen. That should absolutely never happen under any circumstances, right? You have way more stats offensively and defensively, but what really matters here is offense, because we're trying to do a DPS comparison. So you should never be losing to the base kit, because otherwise it makes you feel like you wasted money, right? Because she doesn't feel easier to use, and because of how inconsistently you're landing the fourth skill, or I'm landing the fourth skill, right? There you go. We're a full like bar and a little bit behind in the same amount of time. That should never happen. We should be getting more damage, not less. And this is all because of how inconsistently you can land the new fourth skill. All right, boys, so we're gonna test her right here against Corvus. Since Corvus doesn't move around nearly as much as Ebony Maw, I think the uniform should win this one by a substantial margin just because of that. Even though the dodge may play a factor here, I still think the uniform should win just because he doesn't move around as much as Ebony. And the movement of the boss is what makes it so that it's much, much harder to land the fourth skill. The fourth skill in itself is already pretty like unreliable, because sometimes she'll move out of the radius of the enemy even if they're not moving. But if the boss is moving as well, that just makes it even more unreliable, right? But because Corvus stands in place pretty frequently for like a second and a half, sometimes 3 seconds, when he's summoning his minions or just flexing, I feel like because of that, we should be able to do more damage with the uniform. But let's see. Still gonna do a 2-minute comparison though. But I think stage 20 might be too low and we might end up accidentally killing him. So I'm gonna be real careful. Oh really? He dodged that? Wow. I'm not sure if it's because he went into an iframe or if it's because he actually dodged, like dodge. Yo, that's a lot of damage. Yeah, I gotta be real careful. I think we might actually kill him. Might stop this one a little early just because I don't want to accidentally kill him, because I want to show you guys how she performs against Cull Obsidian as well. I know it's going to be a super long video. Apologies for that, boys. But I want to show you how she does against Cull Obsidian, because Cull Obsidian will often remove the entice from himself, but even that doesn't make her nearly as inconsistent as I've found her to be against Ebony Maw, simply because Cull Obsidian charges at you. He doesn't run away from you, he actually comes to you. So I'm gonna stop it right here, a little bit before the 2-minute mark. We're gonna jump back in with the uniform and I'll show you guys how she does. All right, boys, let's do it. Much better, much better. I'm telling you guys, whenever enemies move around, man, it makes her so much of an inconvenience to play. So I feel like Ebony is probably not going to be the best boss for her anymore, even though he should be, since she's a fully elemental based character. I feel like Corvus might be the best boss for her, unless they fix this skill. Yeah, she's doing way more damage. I'm telling you guys, it's not that the damage is lower, it's just that you're not able to land the entice as consistently with this uniform when the enemy moves around. We're faster, we're much faster, but like maybe 15 or 20 seconds faster already than we were without the uniform. And that's mainly because Corvus doesn't move around as much, so we can land the entice. It's all about the entice, I'm telling you guys. So look at that. I'm telling you guys, Don't let anyone tell you that the damage went down in the uniform. It didn't go down. She just got harder to use. I'm being stupid here. Anyways, she just got harder to use because of the entice. Her survivability and her... Ooh, we didn't get him. I guess he was in an iframe, but he didn't show it was an iframe. Whatever. Yeah, man, I'm telling you guys, I don't want to accidentally kill him. So I'm probably going to stop it way before the 2-minute mark because, yeah, you guys already saw, man. Like, she's winning here, right? And this is me being careful, trying to make sure that we don't kill this guy by accident, right? So, yeah, the damage didn't go down. She just got a little bit harder to play, and the entice became more inconsistent when you're up against enemies that move around a lot, right? You saw for yourself. Corvus didn't move around nearly as much as Ebony, and because of that, we were able to do much better than we did previously. All right, boys, we're gonna try right here against Cull Obsidian, and I'm gonna show you guys once again that it's mainly the entice why you're seeing your numbers worse with the uniform. It's not so much that her damage went down. So we're gonna start off no uniform, same exact team we're using against Ebony. You're gonna notice that obviously Cull Obsidian is gonna remove the entice before 5 seconds. That's just the nature of the beast, okay? He has the purifying wind effect, but it's also much easier to hit him with the entice in the uniform, and you're gonna notice that simply because Cull Obsidian is a brute. He runs to you, not away from you. Oh crap. That was close. This guy could have clipped me with that skill. Yeah, there's no way we can beat this without the uniform, because we're really behind in terms of damage. Ooh. Okay, I gotta jump. Yeah, having to wait for the heal on the 5th makes her much harder to use against Cull Obsidian without the uniform. But having the heal be much faster on the 4th makes her better than in the uniform. It's just weird. There's certain things about the base kit that is much better than in the uniform. So 2 minutes, we're down to 9 bars. Okay, 9 bars. We're gonna jump out of here and then we're gonna jump back in with the uniform. I'm gonna show you guys how she performs. All right, boys, last one. I know most of you guys are probably already bored, but apologies for the length of the video, man. I wanted to give her a good extensive review. I didn't want to just come to you guys and be like, hey, you know what, Luna Snow's uniform sucks and you shouldn't buy it. I wanted to at the very least show you the pros and the cons of the uniform. And I'm telling you guys, it all comes down to the entice. It all comes down to the entice. The entice is what makes her great, and in this uniform, it's become very inconsistent. Cull Obsidian, much easier to land it on than Ebony because, like I said, he's a brute. He just runs to you, trying to hit you, so he's basically always in the radius of the skill. This is probably one of the most favorable conditions for this new forward skill, even though, yeah, it gets dicey because this guy is literally trying to chop your leg off, but this is probably the most favorable type of fight for her now with this new forward skill, right? Because he's always charging you, so you're always gonna get the entice. It doesn't mean that you're always going to get 5 seconds of entice because he has the purifying wind effect, which he will often apply to himself. So you might apply it and only get 2 seconds, but at the very least, you're getting something. Whereas before against the other bosses like Ebony Maw, you're just completely missing and you're getting nothing, right? So even though this is the most favorable type of fight to apply it, the conditions aren't perfect. The conditions aren't perfect, so you're not always gonna get 5 seconds. Like right now, he has the purifying wind effect on himself, so I got nothing, right? That's the thing. But at the very least, you're not completely missing. That's the point. You can see for yourself, we're doing more damage in the uniform as opposed to without it. I'm gonna just try here, see if we can interrupt that. There we go. Bada bing, bada boom. Yeah. More damage, less time. All comes down to the entice. He didn't get him there with the entice for some reason. Actually, I know why. It's because we got frozen by the pentagon trap before we actually completed this skill. So there's so much that can now go wrong that can prevent you from getting the entice. It's just crazy. And don't do this, boys. I was just standing in the skill there, being a wild boy, but it's all good. So we're at the 2-minute mark here, and you can see for yourself, man, we got off what, maybe like 2 more bars of damage in the same amount of time. So it's definitely not that she has less damage in this uniform. It's just the entice that's making it seem that way because of how inconsistent it now is. But that's all for this one, guys. Like always, thank you so much for watching. Sorry again about the super long video, but I hope this video helps you guys understand what's really going on with Luna Snow right now. Thanks for watching though. Peace and love. I'm gone.